All right. Well, look, here's what I want to do. Jalen Carter. To me, this is how the board shapes up. Stroud, Young, 1 and 2. The Cardinals, if they don't move out or move out a spot, let's say with Indy, I think they take Will Anderson. I think that's the surefire pick for them. Number 4, Indianapolis, probably take Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say 5, this is where things get really interesting, is Pete Carroll loves athletes, but more than athletes, he loves troublemakers. He's done a good job handling the locker room with character issues, if that's what you want to call it. So Seattle at 5, if they do pass on Carter, and let's say they go for a Tyree Wilson, well, Detroit, what do? So Jeff, you can go ahead and throw it in the chat. Let's do a poll. If Carter is available at 6, yes or no, do you pick him? I want to know. And then, Jeff, I'll ask you once you finish up. But, JB, Jalen Carter on the board at 6, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm taking him, hands down. I'm running to the podium to get this envelope into him. Like, yo.
Even after the pro day?
Even after the pro day, even after all the stuff like that, I just feel like if he came to the Lions, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell can somehow change his mindset, fix his culture. And not to say that he's necessarily broken, but this man just went through a tragedy and seeing 2 of his friends, lives pass away. So I think if he came here, he would have that love and that support that somehow could switch his mentality just to focus more and lock in on the game if he came here to Detroit. So I'm running to the podium as soon as I can. It's like, Jalen Carter, here.
And JB, you have to think too, and Adam, this is why you build a culture. You build a culture before you get guys like Jalen Carter, so that way when he's welcome into your franchise, there's foundational players that you believe can set the tone, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown, these guys all understand we're all about work. We're all about, doing the hard work, but all, on top of that, being disciplined, not being, it's grit. That's the logo, or I guess that's the motto of the city. If Jalen Carter were to come to Detroit, it's not like there's no culture in place. There's a standard that's set by Dan, the coaches, the players, that I think if Jalen Carter were to enter, that he would benefit from that. I don't think if Jalen Carter comes to Detroit, it would be haywire. I think he would be groomed by the coaching staff and all the players. So I think it'd be a great thing for Jalen, because again, a lot of this depends on where you go. Like with Micah Parsons, there was the hazing stuff, then he goes to Dallas, and he has a pretty good career so far. So I want to say I wouldn't mind Jalen Carter being taken at 6, but at the end of the day, it depends on what Dan and Brad think, because I'm sure they've gotten a chance to interview him. And if you interview Jalen and he's sincere, he's self-aware, he's mature enough to know, like, hey, I got to, number one, I got to lose some weight here. But on top of that, I want to get back to, because again, the tape don't lie. You watch Jalen Carter this year at Georgia, he was the best player.
Tape doesn't lie.
I don't hesitate to take him, but again, that's Brad's
we say
job.
Tape doesn't lie, but also the tape shows him struggling to stay on the field and him going out every 2 plays. I mean, look, when I draft somebody in the top 10, okay, it's already hard enough to land really good players, right? I think we would all agree with that. Mm-hmm. Even when you have a top pick, you can really mess it up. And for me, when you give me reasons to doubt why I should take you, boy, it's really hard for me to commit any pick, let alone the 6th overall pick, on a guy who showed up to his job interview 9 pounds overweight, was gasping for air after every drill.
Cramped up, too.
Cramped up, was sluggish, walking around hitting the bags and just all over the place. Like, to me, I really think in the future, the Lions are in Lambeau trying to clinch the division. Final drive. Green Bay's looking to drive down. Jalen Carter is tired. And he doesn't get to the quarterback and he makes a throw. Or he's tired on 3rd or 4th and short. And he can't make a play. Or he loses his containment. I don't want to think about that. That's why Aiden was such an easy pick last year.
The motor.
It was so easy to draft Aiden Hutchinson. And it was so easy to draft Jalen Carter prior to January. But, I mean, guys, this is the equivalent of a kid showing up to school without a notebook, a backpack, and a pencil. I mean, do the simple stuff right. To me, the biggest indicator of somebody's success is when they do the small things correctly.
Yeah.
You can't even show up to your job interview and perform, let alone show up in shape. If I'm at 6, I'm going to disagree with all of you in the chat. 73% of you say you take them. JB, Jeff, I disagree. I'm taking calls, or I'm drafting somebody else. I'm taking calls. I'm moving back a spot or two if Vegas wants him. If Atlanta wants him, anybody wants him, take him. But again, I also have one very unfortunate disadvantage, is I'm not the GM, so I'm not going to have a one-on-one sit down with Jalen Carter. I'm just not. So I'm never going to have that answer. I'm never going to have that one-on-one answer where I ask very difficult questions and I get a pulse on whether or not I can trust this guy. When I take you in the top 10, I need to trust you. Even in the first round, like I can't take a flyer at pick 6. When I improved my secondary, I'm going to have a top 5 offense next year without adding anybody on defense. I'm going to have a top 15, top 16 defense right away. I am one good draft pick away from being a legitimate contender that could beat the Eagles or the Niners. I don't want to fuck it up.
Now imagine you pass on him and he goes to Chicago. And he's gonna wreck you for the next 10 years. Like that's something too. Is it worth taking a risk on a guy like Jalen Carter, who's widely regarded as the number 1 prospect in the draft? I would say yes. I would, especially when the pick you're selecting is the Rams pick. I'm not saying it's a free gamble, throw it away pick, but Jalen Carter to me is worth it.
And then what if you take him and he busts?
Well, you could say that about anybody.
Well,
Kansas could bust.
You can say that. What if you pass on him and he hits? You can say that about anybody.
No, true, but at least with Jalen Carter, I have an entire 3-year career in the SEC dominating for Georgia.
Yet I have a guy who in the ACC on a really bad team got more sacks in one season than Jalen Carter in his entire career at Georgia, playing with a bunch of first-round picks. Teron Carroll. Adam, you live life regularly when you got legal issues at the same time your future is at stake. Tell me you'll be living your life the same way. You know, Teron, I got a great answer for that. And you know what that is? How about those single moms that work 2 jobs and still find a way to cook for their kids and pick them up from school, huh? How about the people that need to go to school and pay their way through school? And they work the late night shifts, and then they only get a few hours of sleep and show up to class the next morning, huh? What about the football players that are on scholarships? What about those kids that are going to class every single day, maintaining a very high GPA, honors class, and still showing up to football, huh? What about all those kids? Legal issues? You got to be tougher than that, man. Because in the NFL, it's hard. And you're going to lose a lot of battles. He's not going to win every one-on-one. He's going to get double team occasionally. How's he going to handle adversity? So far, he's shown me he can't. I'm not saying life isn't easy or that he doesn't have some reasons why that may have happened to him.
Right.
But adversity, dealing with it, is the ultimate winning indicator. And to those that can, will succeed in their life.
Well, I think he still has time to prove he can overcome this adversity. I don't think he's written off already. If you draft him and by OTAs and training camp, he looks good, he's losing weight, that's where you overcome adversity. Like saying he just won't overcome adversity because of a bad pro day to me is stupid. And the question I would ask you is, do you trust, well, of course, Brad, you're going to say yes, you trust Brad Holmes, but I'll move to the coaching staff. Do you trust the culture in which Jalen Carter would be entering? Do you trust that these guys...
Yes, but what does that mean? Because at the end of the day, it's on the individual. See, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I really believe this in my whole heart. You as an individual have complete control over your life, whether you want to agree with that statement or not. That's what I believe. And when you have the skill set and the talent that a Jalen Carter has, and you make those small mistakes, that's all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'll take the less talented player that I know for a fact is going to give me everything. Aiden Hutchinson. Was he more talented than Kayvon Thibodeau or Trayvon Walker? You could argue no. But he was damn right the best pick of the three. Because I get to sleep at night every single night knowing he's working his ass off. He's going to get better. And I don't have to worry about getting a call at 3 in the morning that there was a domestic issue. Or that he was out in the club and he fought somebody. Or that he got a DUI. Or that he was going 89 and a 45, Jalen Carter. I don't have to think about that. And you know what? Maybe that's not nice. And maybe you shouldn't take personal things into the NFL. But when I'm investing millions of dollars, it matters to me. It does. Because you, whoever you are, at 6th overall this year, if you are going to be a defensive player on this Detroit Lions team, you can make an impact so much that this team could be in an NFC Championship game this year.
And it doesn't help that Dan Campbell's his only rules he has.
Don't be a turd. Show up what? In shape?
His 4 rules. Don't be late. Keep your weight in check. Don't disrespect your teammates. Don't disrespect the game. That's his 4 rules.
Disrespected the game with his lazy-ass workout.
He didn't keep his
show
weight
up
in
in
check.
shape. Disrespected his teammates.
Well, he technically... Okay, I'm not
and
sure.
Disrespected the team by showing up the way he did.
Technically, that report did come out about him buying his teammate, who was homeless, lunch. All right, so he's...
Malik Willis gave somebody that was fucking homeless food.
But Malik
during
and
the
Jalen
combine
Carter
last
are
year.
not the same prospect.
I don't
You
know.
that.
I was told last year he'd go number 2 overall. It's higher than
Jalen Carter
Carter.
will actually go in the top 10, unlike Malik Willis. But it is what it is. You would have to believe Dan and Brad that he can overcome this, and we believe that he's a good person. He just made a bad mistake. And if I agree with you in the fact of if you're taking a player at 6, you have to absolutely trust him, not just playing but off the field. That's a real thing. A part of me just doesn't want to pass on a guy like Jalen Carter. He's a position of need.
And I don't blame you guys, by the way, for what? How many? 70% of you saying you would take him. I'm actually not mad at it, JB. I don't hate the idea of taking arguably one of the more talented guys coming out in this draft.
Yeah, you're more skeptical than I think most people.
When you do what he did, that says a lot about who he is. Bro was fighting a case for his freedom. Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Austin
Fighting
says
a case for his freedom. What? Was he wrongly accused of anything? Huh? Was he wrongly pulled over going 89 and a 45? Huh? Was he wrongly convicted of a crime he didn't commit? No. He's just a fucking idiot. Fighting for his life. Like he's one of these people that their lives have been ruined because they were unjustly or wrongly convicted of something. Get out of here, man.
Austin says, WoodwardSports.com, you guys act like a person can't get better through coaching. Haha.
What is it?
You act like a person can get better through coaching.
That's not the issue. Coaching's not the issue. The Lions culture isn't the issue. The issue is, as an individual, how do I trust you when on the most important day of your life, that's what you did?
And hold on, by the way, Kelly Ship says, driving reckless while intoxicated isn't a bad mistake. He's an idiot that directly killed 2 people. I don't think he directly killed 2 people. I don't want to get that twisted. He didn't directly kill anybody, but he was driving intoxicated, which is a terrible mistake, and he could have hurt somebody.
You can't coach what people do after hours, okay? If Jeff wants to go tonight and have an orgy with 7 dudes and get drunk and show up late to work tomorrow, I can't control that. That's on Jeff. And that would be his mistake, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
What I can do is make sure I go through every process available to ensure that I'm not going to have these issues with Jeff. Because I don't want a co-host that's not going to show up for work on time,
right,
or show up every other day, or only show up and do good shows once a week. I want a guy that every day is going to deliver. And when I'm drafting somebody at number 6, I want the same thing.
I think that's fair.
Who do you draft, Aiden Hutchinson or Jalen Carter, if available last year?
Oh, it'd be Aiden.
That should say more, given the talent that Jalen Carter has.
Mm-hmm.